Alright, is this working? Yeah, I think maybe. Okay, I want to walk you through some of the stuff that I've done, and then you can try it out later. I haven't published it to production yet, but uh, whatever. Okay, I think this is working. So I want to show you some of the stuff that I've built so far. I haven't done any of the reports yet. I'm just working on getting the pricing thing done. But I think it's working well. So I figured I'd walk you through how the thing works right now. And that'll give you something to play with. I'll probably send you a link to the sandbox because I'm not sure that I'll get it to production tonight. That'll probably be tomorrow. But let's just walk through this real quick. Let's get out of this. I think I'm going to just start by creating a new account. We'll call it. This is all on the sandbox, by the way. You don't have to worry about chunking up the data. Test accounts, industry, whatever, type customer. All right, save. So there's a ton of changes. I'm going to write them all down just for reference, because like I'm sure you don't care to read through every single friggin' change that I've made in the last however many hours. But all right, so the first thing I want to call attention to, I've changed this license detail area. I think this is probably how it's going to look on production as well. Those fields that Silverline added, they were a mess, right? So I got rid of all of them from the layout. They're still in the database, but the first step is to get rid of the junk on the layout, so people get used to seeing what's appropriate, and then we'll just remove those fields later. I didn't want to remove them now just in case there's data there, but I'm suspecting that the data there is garbage anyway, because Silverline's crap was all shit. But anyway, so you see I've got contracted seats, total MMR, total AAR, and average PUPM. I will go into more detail with those later once we see how this thing works. But I just wanted to call attention to the fact that I've got these fields here, and this is probably what you're going to be paying attention to. This is writable for me right now, but we'll change that for most people. Alright, so let's start by creating a new opportunity. Alright, so I added the assets thing. We'll look at that in a minute. But we want to create a new opportunity. Alright, so this will at least give us an idea of how the pricing will work, right? So let's call this professional new client. And then we'll call this a professional license, and we'll do this thing. One of my notes is that, do we need this anymore? I don't think we do. It's just like it's a drop down of a year. Like, who cares? Right? That's not relevant. We'll set this here. New client, category doesn't matter. Close date today. Projected licenses, let's just call it 500. So this is a professional, so this should be nothing. This should be free. Right? Boom, boom, boom. This is the sandbox. This field doesn't exist anymore. Need source, whatever. Okay, so we'll save. Uh-oh. Okay, here we go. So I've got a bunch of stuff to show you. Instead of taking a bunch of screenshots and putting them in an email, I figured I would just make a YouTube video for you so I can step you through what's going on. None of this stuff is in production yet. It's all in Sandbox. So you're going to see a bunch of stuff that has no real data, no impact on the existing database. My hope is to get this stuff published tomorrow, but I want to test it a little bit first, tomorrow morning. I want to test it a little bit more to make sure there's no hidden snafus. I did write kind of a lot of code today, and that, the more code you write, the more likely it is to find some errors. But it seems pretty solid so far in my testing, so I'm optimistic. So let's get started. So first thing I want to call your attention to, I've put a couple new fields on the account, and I've removed the junky old crappy fields from Silverline. So you've got contracted seats, total MMR, MRR, total ARR, and average per user per month. They're tied into behind-the-scenes stuff that I'll go into later. This account layout in general probably needs to be revisited. There's stuff here that's redundant or useless. Current business licenses, who knows what all this junk is. So we need to clean that up. There's a lot of fields on these objects that were created during the initial implementation that are now no longer relevant or were never relevant to begin with. We got to get rid of those things because they're just a hindrance to maintaining a clean database. But we can visit that later. Really, we need to get this piece done, and once everyone is satisfied that the current process is correct, we'll go back and clean up some of this stuff. So anyway, so the first thing I want to do, let's just create a new op, right? See what happens. So we'll start with the Pro. Professional new client. Right, stage, we'll call it 2, product, professional, that should be ordered better, right, because Pro is 0, business, then enterprise, right. This thing I think we need to get rid of, doesn't really seem to be relevant anymore. Do 500 licenses, close date today, boom, 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 and whatever. Alright, so let's see if that worked. Damn it. Okay. Had a couple snafus trying to make this video, but I think we're ready. Bear with me. If I get into any errors at this point, I'll fix them. But I'm hoping that I found them all. And this will be pretty smooth because I don't really want to have to deal with garbage error messages. I just keep in mind that I wrote a ton of code today, so I have a lot of debugging I need to do. I need to make sure that everything is tight. But I wanted to get this, this intro to you as soon as I could, so you had some time to process what was going on before, you went into your meetings on Monday. So I created a test account. This is all in the sandbox, by the way. You don't have to worry about this being on production or screwing up the production database. So there's a test account on Sandbox, right? I added a couple new fields here, and I removed the bullshit Silverline fields, right? I will talk about these fields later because they are all tied to back-end stuff. But I just wanted to call attention that I've got a couple things here that are going to play into our whole new operation, right? So these things are formulas except for this. This is actually a formula, and it is editable by me, but that'll be locked up for most users. So first things first, let's make a new op. All right, we'll start with making a professional new client opportunity. Professional. This thing's probably got to go. Product pricing, that's crap. 500. New client. Close date today. Whatever. Come on. And lead source. Love filling out those lead sources. All right, so this is a professional license account, right? So we would expect that the values are 0. These things over here, these weighted things, I've got a note to ask you about these. I feel like they're not useful. I mean, they're for forecasting, right? So they're just the monthly and the quarterly and the annual values times the probability of the opportunity. The values that they're tied to aren't even working correctly. So I can make new fields for this purpose, but if you're not doing forecasting, then we should just junk them from the layout. Or even, I mean, like, even if you are doing forecasting, I'm not sure if they're useful in the layout. They're probably more a reporting tool. But I left them on there just as a reminder to me to ask you about them. So the one thing I wanted to call attention to here is that I've got these new fields based on our discussion, right? So they're named a little bit more according to what you would expect. Price per user per month, monthly recurring revenue. I also put in the list price here for comparison purposes, and the discount, and then the annual. So of course there's 0 across the board because this is a professional license. The way this trigger is designed to work, it will allow you to update the opportunity and it will recalculate on the fly, I hope. Let's find out. So we got 500 licenses here. If I change this to a business license, right, so it should be 500 times 15, which would give us a $7,500 monthly revenue, and that's what we get. And the price per user per month is 15. That's exactly what we expect, right? And yeah, I assume that's right, but let's just real quick time this by 12 and make sure. 90,000. Okay, so that looks good, right? Business and professional were the easy ones, of course. So let's change this to a enterprise license, right? And let's make this something really weird, 12,796, right? And we'll save that. So this is updated, and you see we've got a bunch of values in here. Let's just pull the spreadsheet over here. Let me clear these values. And what did I use? I said 12,796. Okay, so let's take a quick look. So we've got a monthly recurring revenue of $141.7650, $141.7650. I changed this field to show the decimals because I'm not sure like how you want to do that. The spreadsheet here truncates the decimals on the monthly and the yearly. I'm a mathematician, so I like to have my decimals. That's up to you guys how you want to display it. I know Reval didn't have any care for decimals. They just wanted to round it up to the nearest dollar. But we can discuss that later. So the list price, which is not displayed here, I don't believe, is 191,000. We've got a 26.5% discount and an annual revenue of 1,692,918, which is exactly what we see here. So that much is pretty good, right? So that seems to be working. So we've got new clients. New clients for all 3 licenses seems to be working great. So next step, let's just close the op and see what happens. I hope it doesn't break. Okay, so the op is closed. Nothing here changes. But if we go to the account, right, so what we see here, ooh, it made 2 entries. I don't know why it did that. I'll have to check why I did that. So we'll delete one of these. But what I wanted to show you mostly is that it's first of all creating a new asset when you close an opportunity, right? So enterprise license, it puts the number of seats in parentheses so we know what we're working with. It's got a quantity, active, and then the created date. So these fields up here that I mentioned earlier, right? So we've got the contracted seats. That's a roll-up of this thing here, right? And then we've got the recurring revenue for monthly and annual. That's based on the opportunity. That's a roll-up on the opportunity. And then the average PUPM. So I think it's this. Yeah, it should be the same, right? So the way I'm reasoning this is if you add multiple opportunities to a single account, right, they could be at different discount levels. So the way I do the average is I just take the total, right? The total monthly recurring revenue is just the sum of all the opportunities, MRR. And then the average is just the sum of all the contracted seats, and then I divide the two together, and boom, you get the average. They'll probably be pretty close to if you had done them in one unit, but just in case we need some other fudge factors. I hedged there by calling that average. One of the requirements that you wanted was the ability to override the existing pricing, and the way that's going to work is there's going to be a checkbox that you can set, and then you can change the price to whatever arbitrary amount you want. So if you change the price to something really bizarre, that will affect the average PUPM. Okay, so that's that. That seems to work. Now let's try and upsell this account. I really want to know why that made double assets, but whatever. So new op. We'll call this upsell. So the first thing we'll do is we'll pick professional, right? So we'll upsell another 10,000 licenses. Did I do that right? 0, 3, yep. Stage discovery. Type is upsell. I changed these, by the way, as we discussed. Close date today. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so for business and professional, it shouldn't do any additional calculations, right? So professional, these numbers are all still 0. If we change this to business, right, we should get, what, 15,000? 150,000? Like I said, I'm a mathematician. Because there's no additional calculations being done. Now, if we change this to enterprise, so the hope is if we just did 10,000 here, right? So 10,000 with no additional existing licenses, it should come out to 115,912, right? But we already have 12,796 licenses. So let's put this in here. So 10,000 licenses should come out to an even 90,000. And it did not. Why did it break? Alright, well, I've got a null. I can tell you that this calculator is in fact working, and the reason why this is failing is the new asset trigger that I added like all of 15 minutes ago. So now I gotta go figure out why. But as you can see, we've got like almost everything. So you may not even see these errors because I might end up re-recording this entire video so I look really good without having any errors. But if I don't, if I'm lazy, I'll send this to you, and then you'll be able to see how everything works right away. I'll probably also give you a password reset for the sandbox, so you can get in and play with it while I'm still trying to move this stuff to production. So that's all there is to it. You can expect an email from me probably, hopefully by lunch my time. It'd be like 2 or 3 o'clock your time tomorrow with this stuff more or less finished and a bunch of reports ready to go. And that's all there is to it. So I hope you had a good flight, and I'll talk to you in a little bit.